Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. As always, my name is Anna, and today we are actually going to be diving into the case of Casey Anthony. It's definitely going to be an interesting one. If you're enjoying it, go ahead and stick around. Casey Anthony is 21 when she is tried on first-degree murder charges with the death penalty on the line for the murder of her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee Marie Anthony. She would later be acquitted of the first-degree murder charge and found guilty of only providing false information to law enforcement, which she was sentenced to 4 years and with time served, as well as good behavior. That would put her release date to July 17th, 2011. So let's go ahead and dive into the case of Casey Anthony. Casey Anthony, who can be dubbed as one of the most hated women in America, was born on March 19th, 1986. She was born to George and Cindy Anthony. She was 19 when she became pregnant with her daughter, who she would later name Kaylee Marie Anthony. Now, any normal person who has a baby tends to tell people when they're expecting, especially their family and the father of the child. Casey's not normal. She tells no one until she can no longer hide that pregnancy. She talks about possibly giving up the baby for adoption, but Cindy, her mother, discourages it. She also never tells the father or even tells anyone who the father is. To this day, no one knows who Kaylee's father was. Jesse Grund, who is her fiance at the time, believes that Kaylee could be his child, even though this would be impossible since the timing would be off. August 9th, 2005, Kaylee Marie Anthony is born, and a DNA test that is conducted later would reveal that he is not the father. The next 2.5 years, Casey and Kaylee would both live with her parents until June 16th of 2008, when Casey and Kaylee move out of her parents' house and in with her boyfriend. After a fight between Casey and her parents break out, that is where the insanity of this case begins. So between June 16th and July 13th, Casey would still continue to come over to the Anthony home. However, she would never take Kaylee with her. When her mom would question this and ask where Kaylee is, Casey would say that she is with her nanny, Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez, or better known as Zanny the Nanny. July 13th is significant because this is the day that George and Cindy get a letter notifying them that their vehicle is in a tow yard and has been for the last 3 days. Now, you may be wondering why the Anthonys got the notice and not Casey. That was because the vehicle that she had been driving was registered to her parents. So they get the letter, and George, who is a former police officer, goes to the tow yard to retrieve the vehicle. When he gets there and gets the car, he finds Casey's purse, Kaylee's car seat, and a very strong odor, smelling like decomposition. While he's getting the car, Cindy, who is a nurse, goes to find Casey and bring her home. She would find Casey with her boyfriend, Tony Lazaro. Cindy gets Casey back to her house and begins what I believe is interrogating her, along with her brother Lee, until Casey finally fesses up that the nanny had taken Kaylee and kidnapped her. July 15th, Cindy calls the police to report Kaylee missing to the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Quickly, police found discrepancies in her statement about the disappearance. For one, the nanny never existed.
detectives found that the apartment that Casey stated that the nanny was living in had been vacant for some time. Coincidentally, there was a woman who had previously lived in those apartments that Casey mentioned, but that woman did not know who Casey or Kaylee were, and that she knew nothing about the disappearance. The woman's name actually was Zenaida Gonzalez. She would later go on to sue Casey Anthony for defamation. Another big lie that the compulsive liar told police was that she had worked at Universal Studios, taking it as far as walking around the park to find her office. This woman had them all, police, detectives, everybody, walking around with her around the park until she literally hit a dead end, turned around, and admitted that she had not worked there for some time. Casey would go on to be arrested on July 16th. Before we start going into her trial, I want to talk a bit about what Casey was doing for those 31 days that her daughter was quote unquote missing. Casey was partying, clubbing, and even getting that infamous Bella Vita tattoo. That tattoo that translates to beautiful life. That tattoo that translates from Italian to beautiful life in English. What kind of mother whose child is missing not only parties, clubs, but gets a tattoo saying beautiful life? Police and cadaver dogs would search Casey's car July 17th, 2008, and get a hit on the scent of a decomposing body. The following month, samples of an air test that was performed on the car would also indicate the sign that human remains were in the trunk at one point. Fast forward to December 11th, 2008. Ray Kronk is a meter reader. He is out en route when he needs to relieve himself, so he goes into the woods. After business is taken care of, he sees in a wooded area a plastic bag. He contacts his supervisor, who then calls police to the area. This area happens to be about less than half a mile from the Anthony home. It would later be revealed that that same meter reader had previously, in the summer, phoned police numerous times to inform of the suspicious bag and to have them search the area. However, after tries and tries, nothing ever came of it. That suspicious bag would contain human remains that would 8 days later, on December 19th, 2008, be identified as Kaylee Marie Anthony. With all the evidence and information on hand, prosecutors begin to build their case against Casey Anthony. April 13th, 2009, it is revealed that the prosecution had decided to seek the death penalty, meaning that if Casey Anthony is found guilty, she will be sentenced to death. A year later, Judge Stan Strickland, who was assigned to the Anthony case, recuses himself after pressure from Anthony's defense counsel, Jose Baez. His replacement is to be Judge Belvin Perry Jr. 2 years and 10 months after Kaylee Marie Anthony was last seen alive, the trial date is set and the opening arguments are to begin May 24th, 2011. The trial would last for 1 month and 1 week. In their opening statement, the prosecution painted the picture that Casey was just a party animal who did not want to be a mother. Her shopping, and no concern for her missing daughter. They would show photos of Casey partying, the tattoo, and they would also bring up the fact that it took 31 days for her to report Kaylee missing. Another thing that was brought up in the opening arguments was that chloroform search on the family computer. Chloroform was what would be found in the trunk of Casey's car when it was searched by police. The defense, in their opening statements, would say that Casey did not kill her daughter, that it was just a tragic accident. Jose Baez would claim that Kaylee had drowned in the family pool, and that George, not wanting his daughter to go to jail, would help cover it up. The biggest bombshell that would be dropped by Jose Baez is that he would claim that George would sexually abuse Casey Anthony from the age of 8, and that her brother Lee would make sexual advances towards her, and that would be the reason why she got so good at lying, was to hide what he claimed her father had been doing. The first witness on the stand was George Anthony himself. He would deny everything that Baez had stated. Weeks into the trial, forensic expert Arpad Voss would testify that the only possible reason for the smell of a decomposing body in Casey's trunk is because there had been a decomposing body in the trunk. Later, Cindy would go on to testify that she was actually the one who had made the searches on the computer for chloroform, and her reasoning behind it was because she thought her dog was being poisoned. She would say that she started searching chlorophyll and had somehow gone down the rabbit hole to chloroform. She would state that she never searched for the other things on the computer that were a shovel or household weapons. The prosecution would say it was impossible for Cindy to have searched for chloroform on the computer because she would have actually been at work, shown by her timesheets at the time that the searches were made. Prosecutors would say Casey is the only one who could have been making those searches. Cindy would try to explain the timesheet away by saying that she is salaried and that she is required to enter all hours, whether she worked them or not. Casey herself would never testify in her own case. The prosecution would rest first on June 15th, 2011, and the defense would rest June 30th, 2011. That following Tuesday, July 5th, 2011, the jury would deliberate. After 10 hours and 40 minutes, the jury would return a not guilty verdict on the charges of first-degree murder, aggravated abuse, and aggravated manslaughter of a child, and guilty of 4 misdemeanor counts of providing false information to police. Casey would be sentenced 2 days later on July 7th, 2011. She was sentenced to a $1,000 fine and 4 years with time served, making her release date 10 days later on July 17th, 2011. In the eyes of Florida's Department of Children and Families, Casey was guilty. They released a report August 11th, 2011. The report stated, and I quote, "The actions or the lack of actions by the alleged perpetrator ultimately resulted or contributed to the death of the child," end quote. So I will be ending the video here. Do you agree with the verdict? Do you not agree? Let me know down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more. If you have any case recommendations, please comment them down below. Have a great Tuesday, and I'll talk to you soon.